to the Wednesday edition of the Dan O'Donnell Show. It is conservative thought, not just talk. If you would like to join the show, as always, the advertisements.com talk and text line is open. 414-799-1130, 1-800-838-9476. Email me, DOD@iHeartMedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, where we are streaming live via the Dan O Cam. You can also watch us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. And if you would like, our YouTube channel. Just search for Dan O'Donnell or the Dan O'Donnell Show, and you will go right to the live stream. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe on YouTube. If you're not subscribed already, do so, because you get alerts when we go live, when we do some streaming. I think producer Dave and I, we had a lot of fun doing a live stream during the total solar eclipse a couple of days ago. I think I'm taking a couple of days off, so I'm going to be off tomorrow and I'm going to be off Friday. The original plan was for me to do just my morning show and then take off the afternoon show. We had a little change in plans, so I am going to be off. Ben Yount is going to be filling in for me tomorrow. Dave is filling in for me on Friday, but I will be here today. When I come back on Monday, I think we're going to start doing a little live stream maybe after the show each day, just kind of a Q&A. We'll put that up on X. We'll put that up on Facebook and YouTube as well. We want to expand our digital presence. So here we are. It's a Wednesday edition of the Dan O'Donnell Show. Coming up in about 20 minutes, I am super excited about this. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, the eyebrows in the flesh. On the Dan O'Donnell Show, we will be talking about the disastrous inflation reading, a big fundraiser that saw $50.5 million raised for Donald Trump's presidential campaign. Burgum was there, and we will discuss that and much more coming up at about 9:30 here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Hey, remember this?
The vast majority of the experts, including Wall Street, are suggesting that it's highly unlikely that it's going to be long-term inflation that's going to get out of hand.
Inflation, you mentioned unchecked inflation.
There's nobody suggesting there's unchecked inflation on the way. No serious economist.
Except for every serious economist. And when President Biden made those remarks in the summer of 2022, I don't think even the most serious economist thought that we would still be seeing inflation as bad of a problem now, after the Federal Reserve jacked up interest rates to the point we went from about 3% for a 30-year fixed-rate home mortgage to 7.5, even 8% at one point to try to get inflation out of the system. The March Consumer Price Index reading, which just came out a couple of hours ago, seems to show that that plan has failed. It rose 3.5% in March, much higher than expectations, and marking a key acceleration inflection point as we have seen inflation remain stubbornly, and I would say predictably, high. Shelter and energy costs, as always, drove the increase on the total CPI index. Energy rose 1.1% year over year. After increasing 2.3% in February, the cost of shelter higher by 0.4% in the month of March and up 5.7% from a year ago. Following the report, investors pushed the first expected rate cut from July or even June to September. This according to CME Group calculations. Now, where exactly do you think this inflation started? Almost the moment Joe Biden took office. They were warned, all of them were warned, that if Biden went through with his $1 trillion plus stimulus package after a complete and total, essentially, shutdown of the federal government that was starting to reopen, and federal money that was necessary in March of 2020 to keep businesses afloat after government shut them down because of the COVID lockdowns. Even after he was told even after there was a huge article, and I believe it was the Wall Street Journal, by Larry Summers, who is in the Obama administration. He's the president of Harvard. He's one of the most respected liberal economists in the entire world. He was saying, look, if you go through with this, just expect inflation to be a big, big problem. Do you know how the Biden administration responded? By laughing at it. The then White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, as well as Biden's economic aide, said, look, we've got Janet Yellen as our Treasury Secretary, all right? You've heard of Janet Yellen, right? She knows a little something about controlling inflation. Just says nothing to Janet Yellen. And Yellen, of course, kept saying that inflation was transitory. It wasn't. It was never going to be transitory because on top of the $1 trillion stimulus that provided direct payments to the American consumer, in other words, this was the helicopter drop that the economist Milton Friedman always said was the best way to illustrate how inflation works. Let's imagine there's a helicopter high above a town and $1 million is just dumped on the town below. The people go out and say, hey, it's raining money. Let's collect some of it. If they then spend it, prices would necessarily go up because the new $0 is whatever dollars were collected by the magic helicopter in the sky that just kind of dumped them. So the helicopter drop analogy is often used to describe massive influxes of government money. And that's what we had. And we had it at the exact worst time possible when people should have been going back to work. This was combined with enhanced unemployment benefits that kept getting extended out further and further and further, contributing to a massive supply chain crunch as manufacturers and shipping companies just couldn't hire enough people to get goods from point A to point B. And in the hands of consumers, guess what? That further jacked up prices. And on top of all of this, fuel costs, because of the Biden administration's absolutely asinine and destructive, truly destructive war on domestic energy production, the cost of diesel, which is, I think most of you know, used in trucks and used as the key fuel for America's shipping economy to get those goods from point A to point B, the price of that just spiked, further increasing costs. Those costs, of course, get passed along to customers. Now, I want you to listen to some of these numbers, because I have the percent increase of things you wouldn't even think of being up as high as they are in just 3 years under the Biden regime. Food at elementary and secondary schools, middle and high schools, up 52.5% in just 3 years. How about car insurance? Up 48.2%. Lodging away from home, hotels, motels, up 47.8%, just in 3 years. Eggs, up 47.8%. Frozen, non-carbonated juices and drinks, think orange juice, up 47.6%. How about motor vehicle repair? Up 38.2%. Fats and oils, including peanut butter, up 38.0%. Crackers, bread and cracker products, up 35.1%. Video discs and other media, such as DVDs, Blu-ray, up 32.7%. Flour and prepared flour mixes, up 32.5%. Airline fares, up 30.7%. All of these just seemingly random and largely unconnected things are reflective of the fact that there is nowhere you can go. There is nothing you can buy that hasn't been dramatically impacted by the utter destruction unleashed on the American consumer by the Biden inflation crisis. We are now more than 3 years into this crisis, and frankly, it shows no signs of slowing down or abating. And now we've got an issue of high interest rates that are pushing the cost to consumers even higher. People are now stuck in their homes, whether or not they want to be, because they got in at a mortgage rate under 3%. Now the price of houses is astronomically high because there's such little inventory. People don't want to move, quite frankly. That the price of homes has just gone through the roof, and the cost of financing those homes is through the roof as well. Same thing with automobiles. No longer do we have that supply crunch and the supply issues in the automotive industry, at least anywhere near as bad as they were in 2022, but it's still bad. Because not only is the price of both a used and new car that much more expensive, now the cost to finance said car or to lease said car is much, much higher. These are basics. You have to have some place to live. Rent is incredibly high. You have to pay utility bills. Let's see. The cost of Energy costs up 35.3% in just 3 years. You've got to fill up, got to pay for going from home to work in your car. Price of gasoline up 46.8%. Average price of a gallon of gas, I've got this seared into my memory, was $2.39 on January 20th, 2021, the day Joe Biden took office. For the first time in American history, in 2022, the average price of a gallon of gas topped $5 in all 50 states. That's staggering. And do you know the only reason it came down is because Biden pretended there was an actual emergency when the real emergency was, oh my gosh, high gas prices are going to kill Democrats in the midterm elections. So he raided the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, still hasn't replenished its supply because, again, he's declared a war on domestic energy. And this has led to gas prices remaining high for years. Guess what today's average gas price across the country is? $3.62 a gallon. $3.62. Here in Wisconsin, it's $3.38. Remember, $2.39 the day that Joe Biden took office. And of course, there will be Biden defenders who say, well, that's just because of COVID, Dan. That's just because of COVID, Dan. Gas prices were never this high, never even close under President Trump. We will have much more on inflation and all of the associated problems with it, plus North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum coming up next. Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires. It's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
At Weedman Lawn Care, the term care in our name is more than part of our title. It's the heart of our company culture. If we don't care and support our team members, how can we expect them to care for you and your lawn? As evidenced by Weedman's 5-star reviews online, we consistently show our sincere care for our customers' needs. And we absolutely care for the communities we serve by donating to local schools, baseball fields, food banks, and the Ronald McDonald House. Go to weedman.com now. Our caring culture will give your family the lawn it deserves.
I know, some houses are strange, weird, need significant repairs, perhaps just really tough to sell. I get it, you feel you need to pay 6% to sell it, and maybe you truly do. This is Bob Tarantino from Redefine Realty. If you have a property that is kind of normal, generally really nice, maybe even just plain stunning, the Redefine Realty 3.99% commission plan will get the job done just fine. Our marketing is amazingly similar to the 6% brokers. We're even in the same local MLS. Visit redefinerealty.com for details and a free market analysis.
You know, today, $20 barely gets you a burger and fries, and maybe it'll get you a quarter tank of gas. But you know what it'll get you, though? For just $20 a month, you get unlimited talk and text and plenty of 5G data from my friends, my cell phone company, a veteran-owned company, Pure Talk. Make the switch today, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Now, choose a wireless company that shares your values. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, make the switch today, pound 250, keyword save now from Pure Talk.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Talk radio show in Wisconsin, officially endorsed by former and future President Donald J. Trump.
Your show is a very important show, and it's a great show, and we appreciate it.
It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome back to it. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, we will be pleased to be joined by North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Coming up later in the show, 10 o'clock hour, it is a Wednesday, and of course, we've got to play America's favorite game show, Guess What's Racist? We will be looking for a contestant. Yesterday on the Mark Belling late afternoon show, I had the chance to talk with former state assembly member and lieutenant governor candidate Roger Roth about former President Trump just blasting him in his endorsement of his primary opponent, Tony Weed, in the race to replace Mike Gallagher in the 8th Congressional District. We're going to have some sound bites from that because I think it is interesting what Roth had to say, the dynamic shaping up in this race. Yes, I know it's not really in southeast Wisconsin or the Madison area, the areas that we broadcast on the radio, but this has a whole lot of implications for 2024 all across the country in the battle that's sort of raging between the MAGA conservative movement and the more mainline conservative movement, and as well as the sort of moderate Republicans who are also part of the party as well. Hey, remember when everyone in the world was telling us inflation was transitory?
The vast majority of the experts, including Wall Street, are suggesting that it's highly unlikely that it's going to be long-term inflation that's going to get out of hand.
Most economic analysts believe that it will have a temporary or transitory impact.
In the end, it will be transitory.
Supply bottlenecks have developed that have caused inflation. I believe that they're transitory.
There's nobody suggesting there's unchecked inflation on the way. No serious economist.
That was 2 years ago. Since then, prices have skyrocketed even more. We hit year-over-year inflation at 40-year records of 9% and higher. And while it's true that year-over-year has gone down because of the dramatic increase in the Federal Reserve's interest rates, it is also true that inflation has sort of, as I predicted in 2022, folded in on itself. In other words, there's almost nowhere for prices to go. So prices are increasing. We have not seen negative inflation. In fact, we haven't seen inflation under 3%, if you can believe this, in 36 months. 36 months, 3 consecutive years, we have had inflation over 3% year over year. Just because inflation goes down, and I know I don't need to tell you this, prices still go up. Unless you have negative inflation, prices are going up. But companies have realized that no matter how much pressure is on them because of the increased costs of production, they can only raise prices so high before you hit a critical point at which the consumer is just no longer going to buy your product. You're not going to pay $15.99 for Oreos, no matter how delicious they are. And I think a lot of you know I'm gluten-free, largely for health, probably about 20% for vanity. You would be shocked at how bloated you get when you drink beer, when you eat a lot of pizza. Yeah, I know. Who knew? You drink beer, you eat pizza and cheeseburgers, you get fat. My mind was blown when I gave those up and I got skinnier. I know. Couldn't believe it. Follow me for more dietary advice. Gluten-free Oreos are by far the best gluten-free cookie on the market. Tate's Bake Shop gluten-free chocolate chip cookies are also excellent, but it's kind of shocking. Dave, buy some gluten-free Oreos, and I guarantee you won't be able to tell the difference between them and regular Oreos. All right, what I'm going to do is we're going to do a blind taste test. You know, like the Pepsi challenge. We're going to have a gluten-free Oreo. We're going to have a regular Oreo. I guarantee you're only going to be able to notice a slight difference in taste. Just because inflation has gone down, prices have not. I feel like an idiot saying this, but there are still some people who buy into the Biden administrations. Like they are dependent upon people being too stupid to realize that just because inflation goes up, their prices are still going up. Their cost of living has increased exponentially. In fact, the best analysis, the best estimate we have is that inflation, and this is as of just a couple of months ago. So this was as of December of 2023. So you've got 3.5 months almost of more price increases. But as of December, the average American family was paying $11,434 more per year to buy the same stuff that they were before Biden took office. Now, that's kind of tough to imagine, right? We do yearly budgets. Do you do a yearly budget in your home, Dave? Kind of, not really. You sort of ballpark what fixed expenses is going to be, but everybody focuses on the monthly budget, right? You got to focus on okay, here's what we pay in rent, here's what we pay in mortgage, here's what we pay in car payments, like all of our utilities, groceries. We set groceries, I know, are something of a variable cost, but you're always in the same basic range, right? Insurance, whatever else your fixed costs are going to be, you set a monthly budget. You are now paying $952.83 more per month because of Joe Biden's inflation. You have an extra $952.83 a month lying around. Let's break that down even further. Bidenflation is costing you $219.88 in additional expenses every single week. That comes down to $31.30 every single day that inflation is costing you. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum will join us right after this break here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Classical conservatism, contemporary style.
Conservative thought, not just talk. The Dan O'Donnell Show will be right back.
While most other furniture finishers restore wood furniture using high-pressure water to remove old lacquer and varnish, we only use a chemical solvent. Because when you use water, it will eventually raise the grain, loosen glue joints, and lift veneer. So if you have something really special that you'd like to restore, call us. For the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. If you want your restored antique piece to remain primitive, no problem. Maybe you want to restore it to as good as new condition. We can do that. The way we work is based solely on what your needs are. And that seems to make the process of restoring your unique piece almost always a positive one. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no jobs too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com.
It is This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dan O'Donnell alongside the president and CEO of Annex, Dave Spano. And we got some news, Dave, about inflation, especially on top of the jobs report, which was much hotter than expected, that is leading at least some investors to think that the long-promised interest rate cuts might not be coming later this year. What say you?
We did get a higher inflation report in January and February, and then, as you said, followed up by a jobs report that was higher than expected, adding 300,000 jobs, lowering the unemployment rate to 3.8%. So right after that, we had a number of Fed governors, including Minnesota's own Neil Kashkara, who thought that perhaps talking about rate cuts later this year might be a little too early. And then on top of that, Dallas Fed President Lori Logan said the same. We're going to have to wait and see, Dan, to see what really comes out of that, because the expectation, as you remember, was 6 rate cuts by the market. That's been lowered to 3. We do think we're going to see a quarter point, at least 1 or 2 rate cuts yet this year. And that, of course, is going to have an effect on a lot of things, including mortgage rates, the stock market, and of course the presidential election. If we get these rate cuts as expected, that could continue the strong GDP report and of course an economy that could end up on both of its feet that wasn't expected a year ago.
Yeah, and that's why with all this uncertainty on top of the presidential election, which is the biggest uncertainty of all, you really need to know what you own and why you own it. You really need to head to annexwealth.com and get a review of your portfolio. It's called a wealth metric, and it is available at annexwealth.com exclusively. For Dave Spano, president and CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. This has been This Week with Annex Wealth
Panic
Management.
strikes as you realize on Wednesday that Thursday is your anniversary. The reservations being secured.
We'll see you at 8.
The gift being purchased. Yeah, you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with early pay up to 2 days early on direct deposits. So even though they call you Last Minute Lisa, we'll make your last minute scrambling a bit easier. You've got this with early pay from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
Don't let the stress of buying a new car outweigh the excitement. With Car Gurus, you can buy or sell a car exactly how you want. That's why millions of people use Car Gurus. Do all the upfront work online and search their massive selection by budget, make, model, and features. Compare prices to know you got the best deal, then head in for a test drive. Take charge of your buying or selling experience today and get it with Car Gurus at CARGURUS.com. That's CarGurus.com.
Hi, it's John Reitz from Great Midwest Bank, and as a community bank, we sincerely appreciate our customer loyalty. Over nearly 90 years, we've done all we can to return the favor. Great Midwest Bank offers flexible solutions that bigger banks and credit unions simply can't, because our entire team is right here in the community. We love helping our neighbors when we're at work and then catching up over the weekend. Visit us at greatmidwestbank.com. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
It's no longer a question of if something is coming. It's when. The only shock will be the what. Your gut, the feeling you've had that something ominous is on the way. It's likely true. But what are you going to do about it now while you still have some control? Your first step is going to mypatriotsupply.com. After that, your next step is stocking up on multiple one-week emergency food supplies. Priced at under $50 each, there's no better time to buy in bulk. My Patriot Supply is equipped to help you prepare. As the original Patriot Company, we've helped over 2 million families ready themselves. These one-week kits with ready-hour foods provide over 2,000 calories every day. Plus, they're sealed inside a rugged ammo can, so they last up to 25 years in storage. Just grab it and go when a crisis hits. Get these kits for under $50 this week only at mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like Lost 80s, playing those songs you forgot you knew from the 80s. Gotta get back in time. Free. Just open the free iHeartRadio app, search Lost 80s, and listen now. iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Coming up next hour, Roger Roth blasted by former President Trump in his endorsement of Tony Weed for Congress in the 8th Congressional District. Mike Gallagher stepping down. What would that be? Today's the 10th, 9 days from today on April 19th. Listen for that and much more. Right now, we are so pleased to be joined live on the phone by the governor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum. He is a former presidential candidate, and he is live on the air. Sir, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Dan, fantastic to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
The pleasure is all mine. Obviously, what we've been talking about for the first half hour of this show, something I know you as a very successful businessman and as a governor are deeply aware of and understand the policies that led to sky-high inflation that remains even 3 years later, 2 years after we hit record highs above 9%. The Consumer Price Index coming in this morning at 3.5%. Increase in inflation year over year. How big of a problem is this for people in your state and across the country?
Well, inflation is horrible for everybody, and it hits the hardest working families, the ones that have got the least amount of income. It's them the hardest, because when you're trying to put food on the table and gas in your car, pay your electric bill, pay your rent, all of these numbers are up, and you can lay all of this at the feet of Joe Biden. I mean, his inflationary policies have created all this. I mean, his entire economic policy has been inflationary, and inflation is the worst. I mean, it comes like a thief in the night. And if you're lucky enough to be half of the American families that have some savings, it's taken about 30% of the value of that savings away. You've done nothing. So folks that had savings are going to have to work longer and harder to be able to get that value back. If you've had some money in the stock market, just a report out yesterday that said all the gains in the stock market, if you adjust them for inflation, were flat with 2011. So again, Biden, horrible economic. But I mean, I guess what do you expect from someone who's never worked in the private sector, never created a job, and has never had to work the way that your listeners have to work?
I think a big part of the inflationary puzzle that people forget about is at the very beginning of his administration, Biden declared essentially a war on domestic energy production, which led almost immediately to a spike in gas prices as he turned off the proverbial spigot. Now, North Dakota is third largest oil-producing state in the United States behind Texas and New Mexico, if memory serves. Sir, how has that impacted your state specifically in terms of production, and how do you think the pinch that's been placed on North Dakota oil production has had a ripple effect throughout the broader American economy?
Well, Dan, super insightful question. Thank you. And yes, this affects every American, because the full-on attack by the Biden administration against U.S. energy production has been inflationary, but it's actually also undermined our economy, because the cost of energy goes into everything you do, whether it's a manufactured product or the car you drive or the product that gets shipped to you through our transportation systems. It affects everything. It affects the diesel that goes into those tractors going across Wisconsin, and so it affects the price of food. So when you start attacking U.S. energy and you restrict the supply of U.S. energy with these ideologic, bureaucratic-driven rules that somehow are going to supposedly save the environment, and they do not reduce the demand for those energy sources, all we're doing is displacing U.S. clean, low-cost, reliable energy and replacing it with dirty, high-cost foreign energy sources. So it's bad for the environment, it's bad for the economy, it's bad for national security. There's nothing about it. To me, it just seems like complete insanity. I mean, I feel like literally the Biden energy policies have been written either by Russia or by China. This couple weeks ago when he canceled the LNG export facilities, they had to have been partying in the Kremlin last night, or when that came through, because that was fantastic for them and horrible for us.
He is North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, joining us on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Sir, you were on Fox News a couple of days ago talking about former President Trump's Florida fundraiser, at which he raised $50.5 million. You called it a night of unification for the party. Now, much was made about President Biden's fundraiser in New York the same day that Trump was visiting the family of a fallen New York City police officer and attending his wake. Biden didn't even bother. He instead wanted to raise $26.5 million. And the media went gaga. Look at this. Look at this. Look at how great Biden is doing. The fundraising gap is so huge. And then Trump comes in and raises twice that in one night. Do you believe that because of events like that and because of the broader and I think more unified support of Trump amongst grassroots conservatives and even more moderate Republicans, that the fundraising gap that was so evident in both 2016 and 2020 won't be as big of an issue for Trump this time around?
Well, I think it's still going to be a challenge, because between the unions and billionaire Democrat voters, Biden's going to probably end up with a fundraising advantage. They usually do these days. Plus, he's got massive amounts of free media that is just basically covering for his mistakes, including misstatements and lies that he's made. As recently as yesterday, they just covered up. So he's got a machine, and that's what we have to push back against. But that night of being there, it wasn't Hollywood stars. It wasn't, celebrities. At President Trump's event, there was Horatio Alger Award winners. These are people that started with nothing. They created countless jobs. They've given back to their communities. I mean, the night was inspirational. The people that were there donating are there because they care about their kids, their grandkids, and their communities, and they know that under President Trump, we were safe and we were prosperous. Under Joe Biden, the world's at war, and our economy is in a complete mess.
Governor Burgum, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, I really do appreciate you doing a show that's based in Milwaukee, because I would think you sort of have some bad memories. How's your knee? For those who don't remember, Governor Burgum injured his knee during a pickup basketball game right before the Milwaukee debate in August. How is your knee doing, and what happened? Where were you playing, first of all? Was it Milwaukee's fault? Do we have substandard basketball courts, sir?
No, Dan, I couldn't resist. Your alma mater, Marquette, some guys were saying, hey, we're going to go shoot around. I went and joined them. We were shooting around, and then it turned into 2-on-2, then 3-on-3. Then we're behind, and I'm like, I'm not losing to these guys. So we were. It was all I can say. It was raining threes, and the floor must have got wet. I ended up blowing my Achilles. It wasn't, my knee is fine, thank you, but I totally ruptured my Achilles. Played basketball my whole life. I've been on the court 3 other times when other players have blown their Achilles. I was like, that's the thing you never want to have happen. And when it happened, I knew what it was, but loved playing at your alma mater, and I was that night at the very next day at first presidential debate, that has been named the best presidential debate performance ever by someone standing on one leg. So I just want to know.
And you had fierce competition for that, yeah.
Yeah. Marquette helped me get in the record books, and it was an honor to play there. Love Milwaukee, and when you're from North Dakota, you get to pick because we don't have any pro basketball teams.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be like a Johnny come lately, but pretty easy to be a Bucks fan when you're living in North Dakota.
Really? You're rooting for the Bucks?
Well, absolutely, and I'm sorry for those Timberwolves fans in North Dakota that they maybe glom onto, but I've had a chance. I was there for Game 3 on the year that they went on. They were down 2-0 and came back and beat the Nets when the Nets were stacked with Durant and everybody else. So that was exciting to be there. So the First Lady and I like to take credit for the turnaround that began the comeback that led to the national championship there. That was an exciting night to come back on that game.
Well, sir, I've got to say there's a little bit of karma here because I don't know if you saw, and I apologize, it was your Achilles tendon. My memory failed me there. It was your Achilles. It wasn't your knee. You're right. But how about this for a little bit of karma? Last night, Giannis injures his, and it was feared. He injures his lower leg. It was feared, Governor, that he tore his Achilles. Well, we learned this morning that he didn't. He's going to be sidelined for a while. The leg is sore. It's always terrifying when you see your superstar generational talent just running down the court and go down. You're like, oh no. I sort of feel like in some weird karmic sense, you sacrificed your Achilles tendon back in August so that your favorite superstar could have his. And for that, we thank you, sir.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. And if he's like Aaron Rodgers, who blew his last year, along with a lot of Kirk Cousins, there's a lot of folks that were out there. So we're all sacrificing for Giannis.
Absolutely. Governor Doug Burgum, it is a pleasure talking to you. I do hope you will come back on the show, sir. It is absolutely wonderful talking to you. And as a neighboring upper Midwestern state, I think we got to stick together, Wisconsin and North Dakota.
Well, absolutely, and I've got a family that's lived in Ripon, Green Lake. I got some cousins that live in Bayfield. Love Wisconsin, and except when the University of North Dakota is playing the Badgers in hockey. Other than that, I got to go with the home team.
Yeah, that hasn't gone too well for you guys lately.
Well, we lost at Michigan here in the playoffs. Should have been in the Final Four. We had a great team this year, but it's the competition has gotten so strong in that hockey. It's tough to stack up national championships like we used to.
Oh yeah. Oh, you guys. What was it like 10 years ago? You were the dominant force. I mean, North Dakota hockey has been spectacular forever. Wisconsin's in a period of transition. We just fired the men's coach. I mean, we've won national championships. We've sort of got an up and down. Our women's program is absolutely spectacular. How is the North Dakota women's hockey team, by the way? Just as good as the men's?
Well, it's a sad thing because that program got canceled at a time. It's a tragedy, and we had the two Lamoureux sisters that went on to help USA win gold medals, and they grew up in Grand Forks and played there, and so it's been one of the things that there's a number of people working to get that program back and reinstated. I mean, we should be top of the charts on that program.
Yeah, boy, oh boy. I guess, was this recent? I have a vague memory of like maybe 2018, 2019. Is that when that happened?
Yep. Some decisions made, and there's alumni and others that are under an effort rallying to try to get this thing turned around, building off the incredible success that those players had.
Well, my goodness. I mean, look at what Caitlin Clark has done for women's basketball. NCAA women's tournament for the first time ever averaged more viewership than the men's. The championship game, it wasn't even close. The women's game blew out the men's game with ratings. And I'm just, I'm such a big fan of women's sports. A dad of a soccer playing and cheerleading daughter. Anyway, sir, I could talk to you probably all hour long, but we do have to get to a commercial break. Sir, we will talk again. I can promise you that. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Dan.
All right. The pleasure is all mine. He is Doug Burgum, governor of North Dakota. When we come back, we name the unhinged liberal of the day. Stay tuned. The Dan O'Donnell Show back shortly.
This is Mike and Jim from Brillo Home Improvements. There's always something to be said about integrity, isn't there, Jim?
I'd say it's the way we were raised. When you have integrity, you care about the work you do.
And you want to make sure the customer feels it, too. It makes the whole process a lot easier. They begin to trust you. And that doesn't take long when they see you really do care.
And that's what we look for when we bring on new craftsmen. They gotta live up to the Brillo name.
Because being skilled is one thing, but when you join that with a mindset that really is looking to please the customer, then you have something you can build on. And I'll tell you what, when you do that, word seems to get around real quick.
I guess that's why we keep growing. Verneri award-winning home remodeling.
And about as down-to-earth of an approach as you're going to find. Check out BrilloHomeImprovements.com and find out why we're so proud of our work.
Or better yet, give us a call.
Because we're convinced that for your new project, our crews are the kind of folks that you're going to want to be working with.
Sleep apnea is a serious condition. And the worst part about it is, because it affects you while you're sleeping, you don't know what this condition is doing to you.
And it was scary because I found out that I was waking up 145 times an hour. 145 times. I was scared. I wasn't getting the sleep I needed.
And that's the thing. Someone like John wakes up after thinking he's slept all night, and he's been feeling run down for years, and finally finds out something really is wrong. This is why, for us, solving sleep apnea problems is so gratifying, because we really are changing lives.
I've had more energy. I'm getting better sleep. I've been told from my wife I don't snore, but honestly, it changed my life.
This is Dr. Madan Kandula. Solving your breathing triangle problems means a better quality of life, and you deserve that.
Go to AdventKnows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary.
In 1926, the price of gasoline was 23 cents a gallon when Sendix sold their first piece of fruit in Milwaukee. Now Sendix is celebrating 98 years as your trusted local grocer. This week, check out anniversary deals like Sendix fully trimmed USDA beef tenderloins for just $10.98 a pound. All natural boneless, skinless chicken breasts are just $3.98 a pound. And delicious jumbo avocados are just 98 cents each. With savings like these, now that's a reason to celebrate. Sendix Food Markets, your trusted local grocer.
Don't let the stress of buying a new car outweigh the excitement. With Car Gurus, you can buy or sell a car exactly how you want. That's why millions of people use Car Gurus. Do all the upfront work online and search their massive selection by budget, make, model, and features. Compare prices to know you got the best deal, then head in for a test drive. Take charge of your buying or selling experience today and get it with Car Gurus at CarGurus.com. That's CarGurus.com.
You're a clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door. Here for you all year round. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Hi, this is David Wilhelm, and here I go again talking about Marvin Windows and Doors. It's our lead brand, so of course I'm going to tout Marvin Windows and Doors attributes. But when you take a look at the quality of the products that Marvin puts out, can you blame me? When it comes to exceptional efficiency and personalization, Marvin Windows are at the top of the list. Whether it's casement or awning style, single or double hung windows, advanced engineering and the highest quality construction make Marvin Windows incredibly durable, versatile, and easy to use. You can be assured Marvin Windows and Doors are built around you. And Lisbon Storm Screen and Door is one of Wisconsin's largest Marvin Window and Door dealers. For your best selection, choose your clear choice for more, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Your clear choice for more, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Find out more at lisbonstorm.com.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Want to make your yard the envy of the neighborhood? Tune in to Brett Ochtenhagen's Seasonal Services Designer Yard Show to learn landscaping secrets. Visit seasonalservices.com and listen on News Talk 1130 WISN, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
Join News Talk 1130 this Saturday at 4 p.m. for The Word on Medicine, the show that brings you the latest medical innovations and discoveries by physicians and scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin. That's Saturday afternoon at 4 on News Talk 1130 WISN.
That was a fun interview. I always love talking to politicians, political figures about things other than politics. They sort of let down their guard and become real people. And that's one thing. I feel like now, next time we have Burgum on, I desperately wanted to ask him about all the social media buzz around his eyebrows. But, you know, it's sort of weird when you don't really know somebody. I believe if we would have gone on a little longer, I would have said, you know, Governor, everybody was going nuts about your eyebrows. Is this something you get in real life too? Do people come up to you and say, and by the way, how about him doing his homework on the guy who's interviewing him? He knew I was a Marquette grad. Yes, he did. I really hope, because, you know, I don't know, did he ever get Secret Service protection? He's deployed a couple of Secret Service agents. Dig into this guy's background. No, I'm just kidding. He probably just read my bio, did some research about the dude who's interviewing him, and probably learned that each and every day we name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
All white people are racist. Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is in over.
Today's unhinged liberals of the day are every single liberal who has ever said Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Every single one. Yesterday, during a Senate hearing, Tom Cotton asked the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, flat out, hey, Secretary, there were a bunch of pro-Hamas psychopaths who just took over the Senate cafeteria screaming that there's a genocide in Palestine. Is there?
I want to address what the protesters raised earlier. Is Israel committing genocide in Gaza?
Senator Cotton, we don't have any evidence of genocide being created.
So that's a no. Israel's not committing genocide in Gaza.
We don't have evidence of that, to my knowledge yet.
Well, that's that, wouldn't you say? Israel is not, nor has it ever been, committing genocide in Gaza. You know who really wants to commit genocide? Hamas. And anyone supporting them in their quest is just as bad as they are. All of you leftists who have been saying since October 7th that Israel is committing a genocide, you're unhinged liberals of the day. You know, this is something that leftists and pro-Palestinian people have been saying forever. Israel is committing genocide. Do you realize the population of Gaza has increased by something like 3 million people in the last decade? In the actual genocide of the Jewish people, the population of Jews declined by 6 million. You don't get a population increase when you're the victims of genocide, you morons.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Ted Allen. Investigators in Milwaukee are waiting to see if the man in custody for the severed leg in Cudahy is also responsible for the other severed body parts found in the city over the weekend. Maxwell Anderson appeared in court yesterday in connection to the leg case. Milwaukee County prosecutors asked a judge to keep him in custody until detectives can get back tests on the other body parts from the state crime lab. Investigators aren't saying if the cases are connected, but they are treating them like they are one case. Anderson's lawyer says he's being held simply because he may be a person of interest in the case. A new state law expands the criteria for issuing an Amber Alert. Yesterday, Governor Tony Evers signed the Prince Act, which allows Amber Alerts in more situations involving missing children. The law is named after Prince McCree. He's the Milwaukee 5-year-old who was found dead in a dumpster last year after a request for an Amber Alert was denied. Evers and the bill's bipartisan authors hope that the expansion will help locate children faster and avoid future bad outcomes. The Arizona Supreme Court ruled yesterday a 160-year-old near-total abortion ban still on the books in the state is enforceable. The rule permits an 1864 law in the state that made abortion a felony punishable by 2 to 5 years in prison for anyone who performs one or helps a woman obtain one. The law outlaws abortion from the moment of conception, but it does include an exception to save the woman's life. Checking the WISN Sports Scoreboard, the Brewers continue their series in Cincinnati tonight after defeating the Reds last night. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
This is Michael Lynch from the Lynch Truck Center. We've been working hard sourcing work trucks from all over the country. We currently have over 300 commercial work trucks in stock and ready for your choice of upfit. Our sales team is 100% dedicated to commercial trucks, which means our truck professionals can get you the right truck right now. Our new inventory of Chevrolet, GMC, Isuzu, Hino, not to mention our used inventory, combined with nearly 30 commercial financial lenders, ensures the lowest rates possible for you and the fastest buying experience. Our service center has over 20 dedicated truck bays running 2 shifts, a contact-free sales process, and delivery drivers ready to deliver your truck right to your door. We know your time is important, so we make sure our process is quick and hassle-free. Find your new truck today at lynchtruckcenter.com or stop into the Lynch Truck Center at Highway 36 in Waterford. We won't disappoint you.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Morning sunshine, then a few more clouds this afternoon with overcast skies by this evening and rain overnight tonight. That rain continues into Thursday. High today near 66, upper 40s tonight, mid 50s tomorrow. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Rob Haswell.
This report is sponsored by the Tudor Dixon Podcast.
On the next episode of the Tudor Dixon Podcast, Donald Trump's attorney Will Scharf joins me to expose America's two-tiered justice system and what to expect next on the Trump legal front. It's the Tudor Dixon Podcast on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Before you buy an annuity, or worse yet, a variable life insurance policy, give us a chance to tell you both sides of the story.
Financial strategies, what's the way to build your wealth?
Go to financialstrategiesinc.com.
The dentists at Elmbrook Family Dental meld talent and technology to give you a superior patient experience. Elmbrook Family Dental is an in-network preferred provider for most dental insurance groups, has early morning and nighttime hours, and now has 2 locations, next to Brookfield Square Mall and across from the corners of Brookfield. Check out elmbrookfamilydental.com.
Life's a journey, and Russ Darrow is revving up for the ride. Russ Darrow and the places you'll go. Head to russdarrow.com to explore how they can help you get to your next adventure.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, host of the Designer Yard Show and owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services. Do you love your landscaping? Do you appreciate the perfect blend of plants, stone, and wood that embraces your home? Do you delight in sitting on your patio with a cool drink, taking in the beauty of your backyard? If you answer yes, then we have a lot in common. Now, one more question. Does all of this beauty disappear when the sun goes down? Since 1994, the experts at Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services have been creating creating beautiful landscaping that can and should be enjoyed even after dark. If the beauty and pleasure of your landscaping disappears when the sun goes down, you should consider a fully automatic landscape lighting system. The experts at Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services are gifted at creating deliciously soft, subtle nighttime scenes. To schedule a meeting with one of our lighting designers, please call 262-392-3444 or look for us online at seasonalservices.com.
Call Callan to remodel your kitchen or bathroom or to replace windows and doors. Callan, design, build, live. Call 414-529-5509. Visit callcallan.com or stop at its Muskego Design Center.
Jay Weber here. If you're someone who's experiencing shoulder, spine, hip, knee, or musculoskeletal pain and a total joint replacement might be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Find them at orthowisconsin.com. At Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, their physicians are committed to providing the highest quality of joint care and specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Are you over 30 and putting off life insurance? It's time to get a quick quote from Ethos. A better, easier way to get term life insurance. All online with no medical exam. Answer a few health questions and you could be approved for up to $2 million. Isn't it worth 10 minutes to help protect your family's financial security? Ethos. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Passionate about what's right. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
Be sure to listen to the NX Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. NX provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference.
If you are searching for an island of decency in a sea of media corruption, you're in the right place. Wisconsin's most listened to radio station. News Talk 1130 WISN.
This hour, we play America's favorite game show, Guess What's Racist, here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. If you would like to join us, we're not looking for contests right now, but if you'd just like to join us generally, our adventknows.com talk and text line is open, 414-799-1130. Reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Email me, dod@iheartmedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. You can watch the show streaming live there or on our YouTube channel. Just search for Dan O'Donnell. I'm working on getting a direct link. For some reason, I have a random YouTube username that I don't remember ever selecting. I thought I got Dan O'Donnell Show. I can't imagine there's another Dan O'Donnell Show on YouTube. Maybe it's that Irish singer. I don't know. That guy has been trading on my good name forever. There's an Irish singer by the name of Daniel O'Donnell in Ireland. We were there with Cruise and Tour a couple of years ago. I learned that he is Wee Daniel from Wee Donegal. Donegal is a city in very northern Ireland. It's actually where my family is from. The name O'Donnell, it actually means of Donegal. So every O'Donnell can trace their lineage to Wee Donegal on the border with the northern part of the country. On yesterday's Mark Belling late afternoon show, I had the chance to interview Roger Roth, the former member of the legislature. He ran for lieutenant governor in 2022 for his first interview after former President Donald Trump didn't just endorse his opponent in the primary for the 8th congressional seat, Tony Weed. Trump blasted Roth as a rhino Republican and Paul Ryan clone who needed to drop out of the race immediately. This is somewhat unprecedented for Trump to do, at least here in Wisconsin. He's endorsed, of course, but has never just taken direct aim at an opponent. And I asked Roth what his initial reaction to that was upon reading it on Sunday night.
Yeah, well, when I saw that, my wife and I saw that late at night on Sunday, and we just had to chuckle. I mean, it couldn't be farther from the truth. Look, I think Trump made the wrong call here. I think they put wrong information in front of him. But the truth of the matter is, when you're looking for someone who's a proven conservative fighter, you don't have to look any farther than me, right here in Wisconsin. That's why Governor Scott Walker, you could argue maybe the most prolific conservative governor that we've had anywhere in America over the last decade and a half, he's endorsed me in this race. He knows I've got the conservative bona fides to go out to Washington, stand next to Donald Trump, and get this country moving in the right direction.
Okay, that's all well and good as an answer. I'm the one who can get conservative victories for Trump. I will proudly stand with him in Washington. Okay, that's great. But my follow-up was, what specifically have you done to assuage voters' concerns that maybe you are, as Trump claimed, a rhino? I asked him for his biggest conservative achievement as a member of the state legislature.
The one that I think comes to mind just because of my family and our young boys, I was the one who authored the bill for universal school choice here in Wisconsin. That came from me. That's a pretty conservative proposal. I was the one who, when all the other legislators were running around frantically, what are we going to do, with to secure our elections, and Evers vetoing bill after bill after bill. I'm the one that came up with the idea of passing constitutional amendments. I co-authored the 2 constitutional amendments that thankfully passed last week. I also was the one that authored and introduced the one that'll be on the ballot this November, which makes it so only American citizens, I know you're going to be surprised by this, but it's so only American citizens can vote in our state and our local elections. It's shocking that we need that, but we do. I'm the one that got those things done, and I guess at the end of the day, I was the one who stood next to Scott Walker and the other conservative Republicans to cut taxes $8 billion here in our state. And I'm going to take those kind of proposals, but that kind of conservative tenacity out to Washington and get the House of Representatives working again for conservative Republicans. And you know I will do it because you've seen me do it in the legislature.
Pretty hard to argue with that. In fact, I was immediately contacted by a number of the top school choice advocates in the state who were very obviously listening to that interview, and they said, yes, absolutely. Not only did Roger Roth author the bill for universal school choice, he was a key driver of it and always has been. And I can actually tell you that it was Roth's idea, he and a number of other legislators who came up with the idea of saying, look, Evers is going to veto literally everything we do. We need to start going the route of passing constitutional amendments. So if you like the bail reform constitutional amendment from last year, if you like the banning of Zuckerbucks constitutional amendments from this year, you do have Roger Roth to thank. Roth is running not just against Tony Weed, but also against Andre Jacques, who is a very conservative state senator, very, very good state senator as well. The three-way primary, I think, probably benefits Roth more than Jacques. What I can tell you, and since Trump made this very surprising endorsement on Sunday night, I started calling around to pretty much everybody connected to Republican politics, conservative grassroots in the 8th Congressional District that I knew, the people who are actually on the ground. And I said, look, I'd like to think I'm pretty knowledgeable about Wisconsin politics. I'd like to think I keep pretty current on what's going on here. I have literally never heard of this man. That's not a knock on him. I just have never heard the name Tony Weed. It appears that Trump did not either, because he misspelled Weed's name as Tony Wield, W-I-E-L-D, which I would imagine was an autocorrect. It wasn't that, he thought his name was Tony Wield, but that Weed, W-I-E-D, autocorrected to Tony Wield. Still, I can tell you that this was not Trump's call. This was the call of one of his aides, a young man by the name of Alex Bruzewitz. If you don't know the name Alex Bruzewitz, you are not on conservative Twitter. Conservative X, because he is all over there. He's very well known on social media as a very vocal defender of the 45th president. And he was toying with the idea of a run. Now, he would have been a total carpetbagger. He says, well, I've got ties to the area. My grandparents live there. Okay, this guy's like 30 years old. Really? You're going to move in with grandma and grandpa so you can run? So he toyed with the idea of a run, but he lives in Palm Beach because he's working on the Trump campaign. What I think happened, and I don't have any sources. I haven't talked to Alex Bruzewitz. But because Bruzewitz was eyeing up a run so long, but realized he probably did polling on it, and a lot of the voters there, frankly, didn't know who Alex Bruzewitz was either. And it would have been a tough sell as someone from Florida to come in and run in the Fox Valley, Green Bay area, that he settled on somebody who he knew, who was close to the family, perhaps, in Tony Weed. He didn't want Jacques. He didn't want Roger Roth. So he's the one. Trump, as knowledgeable as he is about politics in the various states, there are 435 members of Congress. Could you name everyone? If you could, I think you might be Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man, because heaven knows I couldn't. Sometimes I struggle to name all 8 of ours. Okay? Now, Bruzewitz, though, and Trump, like every national politician, relies on people in all of the states to sort of be his eyes and ears, right? You know, he didn't just randomly say, I want to go on the Dan O'Donnell show. I'd like to think he's a daily listener to the Dan O'Donnell show. I'd like to think he's lurking in the comments on the Dan O'Cam video stream, but he's not. He's Donald Trump. He's got more important things to do. But he does have people here in Wisconsin who are telling him, okay, we want to get Mr. Trump on the Dan O'Donnell show. It's a very successful show in Wisconsin. So, too, is it with the endorsement of candidates. Now, I know very few of you who are listening to me on the radio on WISN or WIBA are going to vote in this primary. But this does have a far broader national implication here. Republicans can ill afford the sorts of bloody primaries that we're going to see in the 8th Congressional District. Belling weighed in on this. He wrote down a couple of thoughts that he asked me to pass along and read on the air, which I did. And he said, look, this is going to be a bloodbath of a primary because it's almost by necessity going to get very ugly. They're going to try to cast Roger Roth as a right. They already started with this. It wouldn't shock me, by the way. How shocked would you be, Producer Dave, if it was actually Bruzewitz and not Trump that wrote the Truth Social post? You don't think Trump wrote it? I don't know. I like to think that he's got the phone and tech. You know how you can tell it's an actual Trump Truth Social post? Because it comes in at like 4 a.m. Exactly. This one came in late at night, but I am seriously amazed. I think Trump sleeps like a grand total of 3 hours a night. I really do believe he's one of these crazies who only needs like 2 or 3 hours of sleep. Although I'm finding, and I guess there is some science behind this, as you age, you need less and less sleep. I'm finding I'm perfectly fine with 6 hours of sleep, whereas 10 years ago, I needed 7 or 8 hours of sleep, or I just felt like I was in a daze the next day. Case in point, last night, stayed up a little later than I wanted to. We were doing house stuff, and then I had to write a column for McIver, which, by the way, is, I believe, up now. We're going to read some excerpts from it. It's on student loan wealth transfers that President Biden announced in Madison on Monday. So I was up and we watched an episode. Remember, I'm the last human being to watch Netflix's Ozark. And we're watching that. And I looked at the clock when the episode finished. I'm like, oh, man, it's like 12:15. Where did the time go? And, of course, I woke up at like 6 like I usually do and, immediately hopped on the laptop, hopped on the iPad and got to work. Yeah, do you think people realize that like half of my prep almost is laying in bed on my iPad? Well, no, I know, but I'm not like sitting at a desk. I'm literally, when I go to bed at night, I'm on my iPad researching for the following morning. When I wake up in the morning, I actually, this is going to be really embarrassing. I have something of a security blanket that I sleep with every night. It's my iPad. My iPad, I've gotten in the habit, weirdly, over the last probably 6 months, I put the iPad next to me when I don't even reach to the bedside table to put it down. I just kind of let it, because I'm like half asleep. I can always tell when it's time to go to sleep because I'll like jolt awake in a panic because I can feel the iPad slipping out of my hands. Have you ever had that with like your phone or the remote control or something? It like jerks you awake. Oh, that happens constantly to me. I'm like, okay, looks like I was reading something a little bit too boring to keep me up. Time to go to bed. We will talk about student loan debt forgiveness, which it isn't. It's an election bribe after this. You are listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show, classical conservatism, contemporary style. Then, after that, we play Guess What's Racist. Stay tuned.
More of the Dan O'Donnell Show. Next.
Dan O'Donnell here for my great friends at Mander Collision and Glass, now with 6 locations to serve you. You hear me talking often about Mander's customer service. Well, here's one of their customers, Haley, who writes, I had a small chip in my windshield. I called and came in right away to see if it could be fixed. Mander had a glass technician in the building that day, and within 20 minutes of arriving, my chip was filled. Very friendly staff and great customer service. My husband and I have used Mander for a few needs with our vehicles, and we will continue to go to them. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Haley. Your loyalty is a reflection of Mander's extreme dedication to customer service. They'll go the extra mile as a matter of policy, and that is why I tell so many people to go to Mander. Now with 6 locations to serve you, Mander truly is your best decision after a collision or for windshield repair.
What you doing? Taking Dramamine, so we can talk about the cane table from Penny Mustard.
But that's for seasickness.
Look at the cane table. What do you see?
Style.
Charm.
Good old American craftsmanship.
Yeah, but look at the shape of the cane table.
It's boat-shaped.
Precisely.
You get seasick just by looking at the shape of a boat?
Uh-oh, I'm feeling woozy.
Come see the cane table, starting at $18.38, paired with Encore side chairs for $5.50 each at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Stop at Menards and check out our selection of high-quality Masterforce tools. Easily take on your outdoor cleaning projects with Masterforce. Masterforce pressure washers have the power you need to make short work of any job. Pick up a Masterforce 3000 PSI electric pressure washer. On sale through April 14th. Save big money on Masterforce tools and check out our flyer on Menards.com for more great deals going on now.
Save big money at Menards.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than what we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with a proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SECURE to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantaged status. So text SECURE to 989898. That's SECURE to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It's a tour de force of truth. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. We play America's favorite game show, Guess What's Racist, in about 10 minutes. First, my latest column at the McIver Institute, either up now, actually, I think it's going to be posted in a couple of minutes. I wanted to read some excerpts from it because I was really proud of it. And folks, yes, you are going to hear me pat myself on the back. It's all about President Biden's visit to the Madison Area Technical College on Monday to tout his student loan debt forgiveness program. Don't call it loan forgiveness. It's election bribery. It is a massive wealth transfer. It is grossly unconstitutional, and ultimately, it's self-defeating. President Biden has already forgiven approximately $138 billion of student loans, transferring that debt to all of us, every single American taxpayer who can ill afford it. The national debt is $34 trillion right now. Would you believe that interest on the debt is now equivalent to 3% of America's gross domestic product? Later this year, just the interest payments that we pay on our national debt will eclipse the total defense budget for the United States of America. That is almost unfathomable, but it is true. And President Biden transferred all of this wealth after the United States Supreme Court said this is unconstitutional. As I wrote, the president has forgiven, or at least transferred to taxpayers, student loan debt in a blatant disregard of both the Supreme Court order and the separation of powers. As if such autocracy weren't egregious enough on its own, Biden's plan will only make higher education less affordable for future generations of students. In 2017, a study from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York revealed that tuition rose by as much as 60% as student loans and federal aid programs for tuition increased dramatically in the 1970s, primarily because there was far less incentive to provide value to the customer, i.e. the student, who is no longer paying directly out of pocket for the school's product, an education. As Secretary of Education, Bill Bennett famously opined in 1987, federal student aid policies do not cause college price inflation, but there is little doubt that they help make it possible. The more the government pumped into tuition assistance programs, the more tuition increased as colleges realized that the government did a whole lot less cost-benefit analysis than did the individual writing out a check. Government checks would come in with no questions asked ever about how the money was being spent. Sky-high salaries, a bloated bureaucracy with fewer professors in the classroom, it didn't matter. The money kept coming, so the salaries soared higher, the bureaucracies grew even more bloated, and students were stuck paying off enormous loans that were many times higher than the cost of higher education in the pre-federal aid, pre-student loan era. If prices spiral that badly out of control because of federally subsidized loans, imagine how much they'll spike when the government simply federalizes all student loan debt. If the only customer is the U.S. government, then there will be no incentive whatsoever to keep costs down for students or, if Biden gets his way, taxpayers. His latest attempt at election bribery isn't just self-defeating in its purported aim to make higher education more affordable. It is also a dubious political calculation. What could be less palatable to a blue-collar voter who proudly makes his mortgage payment on time each month than the idea that he is now paying the tuition of a blue-haired gender studies major who considers herself his social better? That matters little amid the blue-haired rebellion against Biden over his insufficiently pro-terrorist Israel policy. He needs these crazies much more than the working class who have long since abandoned the Democratic Party for saner alternatives. And so we, all of us, must pay for the most insane and unconstitutional wealth transfer in recent American history. That's me writing for the McIver Institute. A little sneak peek of a column that will go live later today. We will, of course, have it on social media at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. We play Guess What's Racist next.
Folks that have heard me over the years know that we're a Marvin window and door dealer. We like them because they build quality products, and they like us because we sell a lot of those quality products for them. And that gives us the luxury of being able to offer Marvin windows in more sizes and color combinations than anyone. And that's good for you, especially if you're not willing to compromise on quality. Because the Marvin family of brands strives to push design to its limits in aesthetics, function, and durability. Their products are preferred for new construction, remodels, and replacement projects when compromise isn't an option. Obviously, installation matters too, and we are fanatics about it because we know that quality products can't be as good as their build without the finest installation. This is David Wilhelm. If you're just not willing to settle for less, choose your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door for Marvin windows and doors that are built around you.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Attorney Tom Nichols.
We're often called in to represent businesses in times of need, to help when they're being sued, or, further down the road, to assist with the sale of the business. But we also represent many closely held businesses throughout their entire life cycles. In today's legal environment, having access to quality legal talent on an ongoing basis really is a good cost-benefit proposition. Sometimes a simple, smart step that was made years ago can avoid a major stumbling block today. And that's something that an attorney who's worked with many businesses over their entire life cycle can offer. At Meisner, Tierney, Fisher & Nichols, high integrity and earned respect have been hallmarks of our firm for quite some time. We've been representing businesses here in Wisconsin for over 175 years. Having good legal counsel on your side gives you a competitive advantage now and peace of mind when the big stuff comes along.
Good clients deserve good lawyers. Meisner, Tierney, Fisher & Nichols. MTFN.com.
Do you know you need a new roof? Of course you do. For award-winning service and a free consultation, visit Klaus Roofing Systems by BuckBuckley.com. And remember, put a Klaus on your house.
With nearly 50 years of experience, my dad, Jim Mullally, has taught my cousin Mark everything he knows. In fact, he bestowed so much expertise onto Mark that Mark went to New York to compete against the top furniture finishers in the country. And you know what? He won. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. The bulk of our business is in wood furniture restoration. We found that there are a lot of folks out there with antique furniture and heirloom pieces that are in good shape, but just need to be brought back to life again. Well, that's our specialty. And right here in Mequon, you'll find one of the country's top furniture finishers. So if you want only the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no jobs too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
NBA fans, check this out. It's Pick Six, the newest real money fantasy app from DraftKings, an official partner of the NBA. Here's how it works. It's really easy. I can't tell you how easy it is, in fact. You pick if a player will have more or less of a stat. Will he have more than 1 rebound? Will he have less than 4.5 assists? More than 20 points? All you do is pick your lineup, compete against others. It's a chance for huge cash prizes. It is a whole lot of fun. Download the new DraftKings Pick 6 app now and get started with code WISN. New customers can get up to $200 back in Pick 6 credits if your first pick set loses. Only on Pick 6 from DraftKings with code WISN. The crown is yours. One offer per new customer. First qualifying pick set winnings less entry fees must generate negative number. Max reward up to $200 equal to amount of negative number. Issued in non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits, valid for Pick 6 use only, expire after 180 days. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 18 plus in most eligible states. Age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. Pick 6 not available in all states. For up-to-date list of states, visit dkng.co/pick6states. Void where prohibited. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
In 1926, the price of gasoline was 23 cents a gallon when Sendix sold their first piece of fruit in Milwaukee. Now Sendix is celebrating 98 years as your trusted local grocer. This week, check out anniversary deals like Sendix fully trimmed USDA beef tenderloins for just $10.98 a pound. All natural boneless, skinless chicken breasts are just $3.98 a pound. And delicious jumbo avocados are just 98 cents each. With savings like these, now that's a reason to celebrate. Sendix Food Markets, your trusted local grocer.
We're throwing a party, and you get the presents. Hi, this is Terry Ludwig, owner of All American Window and Door. Our 39th anniversary is an event you don't want to miss. It's a celebration of passion, commitment, and you. Our 39th anniversary also means prizes, surprises, and savings that take the cake. Join us for great deals. Party this week at All American Window and Door on Mequon Road in Germantown. 262-255-7170. Estimates are free.
Get your rock solid guaranteed pre-approval to buy at accunet.com.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show, the only radio show in Wisconsin officially endorsed by former President Donald Trump.
Your show is a very important show, and it's a great show, and we appreciate it.
It is time now to play Guess What's Racist. But before we do, we need you, a contestant, to join us, and we will take caller number 20 right now at 414-799-1130. That is our adventknows.com talk and text line. You can also reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Caller number 20 will play Guess What's Racist in just 1 second. Continuing on with the column I wrote for the McIver Institute. It goes live there and all over my social media later today. Not only is what President Biden doing with student loan debt a massive wealth transfer, and it's essentially a transfer of wealth from the upper middle class to the lower middle class in the form of higher taxes, in the form of more national debt, it's also ultimately self-defeating. What we've seen over the last 50 years is that as we've seen it in medicine too, as the direct cost to the consumer, quote unquote, goes down. In other words, as there are more layers between, there's more buffer in the form of insurance, in the form of federal aid, in the form of other forms of government assistance, state, local, whatever. as we see that increase, we see the price of pretty much everything go up. Because who do you think is going to be most demanding that costs are as low as possible? You, right? You're writing out a check and you're saying, okay, well, school A's annual tuition is $20,000. School B's annual tuition is $15,000. I'm going to do a cost benefit analysis and say, you know what? Probably school B is better. It's $5,000 less. It's a comparable reputation and comparable distance, comparable cost of room and board. I think I'm going to go with them. When you essentially just apply for a loan that includes tuition, includes room and board, it includes books, it includes all of this, and that loan is ultimately going to be forgiven, and the schools know this, that there's no chance you're ever going to default on your loan because the ultimate payer, the ultimate debtor is the United States government, what incentive is there to lower their costs? There is none. It is time now, ladies and gentlemen, to play America's favorite game show.
Guess What's Racist?
And today's contestant comes to us from Mayville. Everybody, please welcome Joe. Joe, great to have you on Guess What's Racist?
Good morning, Dan.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, Joe. What is your firsthand experience with understanding your role in America's systemic racism?
Wow.
Well, it doesn't matter because now you are going to get it on Guess What's Racist. There are no prizes here, at least physical prizes. The prize we offer is far better. It's far deeper. It is a spiritual understanding of how you, Joe from Mayville, contribute to racism in America. Joe, have you heard our game before? Do you know how to play?
No, I don't. I usually catch the 3 o'clock hour.
Oh, you're kidding me. All right, this is fantastic. So what I'm going to do, Joe, is I'm going to give you a list of 3 things. All 3 things are going to be related in some way, but none of them are going to jump off the page to you and say, wow, that's really racist. But one of those things within the last couple of days has been the subject of a media article or a liberal activist or Democratic politician's screed calling it somewhat impossibly totally racist. You follow me? All you need to do is guess what's racist. Question number 1, Joe. Guess what's racist? The earthquake in New York, the total eclipse, or this summer's cicadas? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say something, Joe?
Total eclipse.
The total eclipse is correct, according to Adam Mahoney of, what was it, Plan B News, some tiny little news organization in Texas, who wrote an article entitled Eclipse Fever is Gripping Black Texans. While the event will cast a brief shadow on life in Texas, it sheds a light on scientific fields that have been mainly out of reach for black folks. The entire article wasn't about racism in the eclipse, save for one sentence that made a passing reference to an article 4 years ago that posited there weren't enough black astronomers. You are doing great for a first-timer, Joe. 1 for 1, question 2. Guess what's racist? Roads, bridges, or tunnels?
Roads.
No, I'm sorry. Oh. Bridges, specifically one bridge. Can you guess which one?
No, I can't.
The Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, because of that, of course, remember, was the bridge that went down when a cargo ship struck it a couple of weeks ago. Well, now the Caucus of African American Leaders of Anne Arundel County unanimously voted to call for changing the names of both the Key Bridge as well as another one because of racism. Francis Scott Key, you see, was an American patriot, and thus he necessarily must have been racist. The coalition calling for a change in the name includes groups such as an NAACP chapter and the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, which wants the replacement bridge to be renamed in honor of the late Representative Perrin Mitchell, the first African-American elected to the United States House from the state of Maryland. Mitchell was also a civil rights pioneer as the first black graduate student admitted to the University of Maryland. I'd love to take credit and say I called this, but it was so incredibly obvious when the Francis Scott Key Bridge went down that you would have groups just like this calling for it to be rebuilt and also renamed because of racism. Final question for you, Joe. Guess what's racist? Wedding pictures, wedding videos, or wedding toasts?
I'll go with wedding toast.
No, I'm sorry. Wedding pictures are now racist. This is in an advice column from the New York Times over the weekend. Was it racist to take family photos at a wedding without me and my wife? Here's the letter to the advice columnist. My wife and I attended my nephew's wedding 18 months ago. He and his wife are now expecting a baby, and I was looking forward to meeting my newest relative. The problem: at their wedding, group pictures of our extended family were taken before my wife and I realized it. When we asked the photographer why we had been overlooked, he only reiterated that pictures had already been taken. My wife, a woman of color, believes that racism may be the reason for our exclusion. She wants nothing to do with my nephew or his family again. Now, of course, a sane, rational person would say, okay, the picture was taken, and because it's a large extended family, nobody realized that this couple was missing. It's unfortunate. Maybe they can be photoshopped in, which would have been the rather obvious solution to this, but nonetheless. You would think a sane advice columnist would say, hey, that's probably the reason. But this is the answer. In the absence of meaningful context here, I would probably defer to your wife's assessment. In all likelihood, she has more experience with racist episodes than you do. So yeah, it was racist. At the same time, I am thoroughly unpersuaded by your investigation. It sounds as if you spoke to the wrong person, a wedding photographer who had little incentive to assemble your entire family for group photographs. The columnist says, you should have gone to your nephew and said, hey, we weren't in the picture. What's going on? Do you know what probably would have happened? They would have reassembled the picture with you and your idiot wife who sees racism everywhere in it. But that is the point, Joe, of guess what's racist? Because liberals really do see racism everywhere. You didn't do too bad. 1 for 3. That is a great start on your journey to understanding your place in this complicated puzzle we call America's systemic racism. Joe, thank you so much for playing America's favorite game show, Guess What's Racist?
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services, and I'm so proud to be a father, a husband, an entrepreneur, a Christian, and an American. My wife Amy and I did our best to educate our children about our reasons for embracing traditional values. Recently, Amy and I became empty nesters, and now our young adults are in the real world with the American dream in their heads, their hearts, and soon it will be in their hands to share with others. God is good. Marriage and children are a blessing. Capitalism works diverse. And America is grand. She is rich with beautiful places to explore. She's a melting pot of beautiful people. Diverse? Yes. But we are still blessed to have so much in common. Ignore the politicians and the media who sow seeds of hate. Let's embrace the wonders of life, liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness in America. Join me in discovering the wonders of nature and the wonders of America.
This is Michael Lynch from the Lynch Truck Center. We've been working hard sourcing work trucks from all over the country. We currently have over 300 commercial work trucks in stock and ready for your choice of upfit. Our sales team is 100% dedicated to commercial trucks, which means our truck professionals can get you the right truck right now. Our new inventory of Chevrolet, GMC, Isuzu, Hino, not to mention our used inventory, combined with nearly 30 commercial financial lenders, ensures the lowest rates possible for you and the fastest buying experience. Our service center has over 20 dedicated truck bays running 2 shifts, a contact-free sales process, and delivery drivers ready to deliver your truck right to your door. We know your time is important, so we make sure our process is quick and hassle-free. Find your new truck today at lynchtruckcenter.com or stop into the Lynch Truck Center at Highway 36 in Waterford. We won't disappoint you.
This is Mike and Jim from Brillo Home Improvements. So we do a lot of these ads, and sometimes you feel like you run out of things to say. Yeah, I hear you. So what do you think people want to hear? Obviously, we're always going to tell them the truth, because that's just the way we are. But when it comes to home remodeling, you just have to push quality. I mean, that's what we're known for.
Attention to detail. Real craftsmanship, outstanding design. When you go to BrilloHomeImprovements.com, you're going to see beautiful work and high-level home transformations.
And we can do anything, but I'm particularly proud of our additions, because a lot of times, they're challenging jobs.
And we've always risen to the challenge.
And you know, we exceed expectations too.
Sounds like we've said exactly what we want our next new customer to hear.
Verneri award-winning home remodeling.
And about as down-to-earth of an approach as you're going to find.
Go to BrilloHomeImprovements.com.
Or better yet, give us a call. And we're going to do everything we can to show you that you definitely made the right choice.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than what we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with a proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
Good news, bad news. The good news, inflation today is nothing like it's been in the past few years. The bad news, lower inflation doesn't mean lower prices. In fact, one recent study says investors still consider inflation their single biggest threat. If you're concerned how inflation might affect your legacy, your financial freedom, or your confidence, meet with the team at Annex Wealth Management. We're fee-only fiduciaries. We'll build a plan together and guide you on the steps to take to reach the retirement you desire. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference. AnnexWealth.com.
Inherit a home, trying to avoid foreclosure, facing divorce, moving, have a hoarded up home, doesn't matter. Metro Milwaukee Homebuyer is ready to give you a fair cash offer as is for your home. Visit MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com. No fees, no commissions, just cash.
Today's Dan O'Donnell program is brought to you by Great Midwest Bank. Whether you're ready to buy, build, or renovate, Great Midwest Bank takes the stress out of paying for it. Get started today at GreatMidwestBank.com.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Classical conservatism. Contemporary style. This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Admit it, you were petrified when you saw Giannis go down last night. Heaven knows I was. You weren't? Dave says he wasn't because he's convinced the Bucks are going to get bounced in the second round of the playoffs, regardless of whether or not Giannis plays. It is being reported this morning that Giannis Antetokounmpo has avoided serious injury to his Achilles tendon. There was an initial fear that there was a tear of the tendon when he was just running down the court after scoring a basket. He made it to about the free throw line and then just collapsed, holding his lower leg. Terrifying sight, and anytime you see what's known as a non-contact injury, you think, oh, that's bad. The one that immediately hops into my mind is Jordy Nelson from about a decade ago. Remember in that training camp game or that preseason game where did he tear his ACL? Yeah, right. The 49er player running on the play. Whenever you see he's running on the field during the Super Bowl, you're right. Whenever you see just a guy go down, your initial fear is, oh my goodness, this is bad. So Giannis has avoided serious injury. The Bucks do beat the Boston Celtics in what can only be described as a get-right game. Now, neither of these teams cares pretty much one whip about any game from now until the start of the NBA playoffs. Yes, David? More people care about the Packer game in Brazil than Giannis's status. Yes, it has been confirmed that the Green Bay Packers are going to open the 2024 NFL season in Sao Paulo, Brazil, against the Philadelphia Eagles. The NFL says this is going to happen September 6th at Arena Corinthians, the home to the Brazilian soccer club SC Corinthians, in the league's very first South American game. Now, this is going to be the league's opener. This is what the Green Bay Press-Gazette says. It's going to be a Friday night game. It's not going to be the league opener. Green Bay Press-Gazette. I'm reading it right here, Dave. You think, well, do some research on this. Dave is not convinced this is the league opener, because it usually is the defending Super Bowl champion, which would be the Kansas City Swifts. The Packers' first international series regular season game, according to the Press-Gazette, was a 27-22 loss on October 9th, 2022. Can you remember to who? New York Giants in London. Teams designated for international games this year include the Eagles and Packers in Sao Paulo, the Minnesota Vikings, the Chicago Bears, and Jacksonville Jaguars in London, and the Carolina Panthers in Munich, Germany. Opponents for the European games have not been named. Last year, the NFL announced its full international schedule. In May, it came down to the Packers or the Cleveland Browns as the Eagles' opponent, and the Packers gave hints that Sao Paulo was not their first choice. Packers president and CEO Mark Murphy has said on several occasions that Germany would be an attractive venue, but he also said the Packers would gladly play in Brazil, where Green Bay is one of the two most popular teams in the country. Right, they did get the situation with the airports figured out. They needed to get international flights out of Green Bay and into Sao Paulo, Brazil. Oh, they're being bused to Milwaukee and they're flying out of Mitchell International. That makes a lot more sense. Okay, Rob Domofsky says that the NFL's opener is a Thursday night. Yeah, that sounded weird to me. So Richard Ryman of the Green Bay Press-Gazette, this is also reposted at jsonline.com. Need to check your facts, buddy. Yeah, that seemed weird to me because I knew they were going to play. They were targeting a Friday. And this, by the way, do you know why the NFL has not done Friday night games? They think that it's too short a turnaround time, that they want to have only two teams having to do that Thursday turnaround. But the primary reason has always been high school football, Friday night lights. They don't want to compete with the high school kids. To which I've always said, okay, that's great. And parents of high school kids and high school kids who are going to high school football games, they got DVR. They can watch the football game later. And also, when do high school football seasons typically wrap up? Right before Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving, Katie barred the door. Friday night football. Yes, you're going to compete with high school basketball, but we saw this with the Black Friday game this season. I think the NFL would be stupid not to do some Friday games because their goal, obviously, is to get as many games on national television as possible and to avoid competing with the only television program that can possibly compete with an NFL football game. Do you know what that is? Another NFL football game. So they don't want the massive lineup of games at 12 noon on Sunday. They want as many games as possible. Okay, you've got a game on Saturday night. You've got a game on Friday night. You've got a game on Thursday night, because their goal, obviously, is as many eyeballs on their product as possible. And they are well aware that they are the only television show that consistently gets monster ratings. If you take a look at the highest rated broadcasts of any given year, the top 100, it's like 90 will be football games right now. The game will be on Peacock, Packers and Eagles in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Friday, September 6th, if you are looking to take a trip. I will be back on the Mark Belling late afternoon show, 3 o'clock today. Talk to you then. Thanks for listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show.